Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, a World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here, I'm John Sneisen, and the crooks at Wells Fargo are at it again. I mean, this is part of a global agenda, of course, but it's something that we've been warning about so much, and we need to start paying more attention because we are being proven right, vindicated over and over again, and it's unfortunate, but it's true. And this part of the story comes as Wells Fargo eyes return to mortgage deals shunned since crisis. And of course, we're talking about the 2008 financial crisis, and it's something that we've been warning about because we're seeing a lot of similarities. But go into this, John, because we're continuing to see these similarities that put a lot of people at risk.
Well, if you remember 2008, there's been made a lot of videos about it. It's, for example, Inside Job and others that have come out, and of course, The Big Short. They made videos and quite explicitly explained, what went down, what kind of fraudulent activities went down. And of course, it was the mortgage-backed securities that was, put together, packaged together, a whole bunch of loans, and it was a whole bunch of horse manure in there. And then, of course, it ended up and started stinking, and then people just found out it was just a load of crap and it was worthless.
Yeah, it's the collateralized debt obligations out of control once again.
Yeah. Now, since that time, what the Inside Mortgage Finance publication have said, it's only been 16 billion of these mortgage-backed securities sold now. We don't know if that's true at all. They might be very different, but what we're trying to say here is, of course, they're trying to package these loans again and trying to get it off their books because a lot of the loans might be crap again, and they want to get rid of them off their books, off their risk, in order to sell it to a stupid investor like a pension fund or even you and me, so we could buy it and sit with the bomb when it goes off. This is insane. And of course, here in Canada, we had one of the first Bank of Montreal started creating their mortgage-backed securities. And of course, it comes at the same time we're in a massive housing bubble. So shouldn't that really warn you about something? And then, of course, as they had 95% of them being rated AAA.
Totally faulty. They base that on a couple of the good mortgages that they package in with a ton of terrible mortgages.
Well, first of all, when it comes to rating, you cannot rate mortgages that are under a bank that people pay the same as a country's rating. So that means that it's the same. So that's basically fraudulent right there. First of all. And it's insane that they do believe that anybody would have the possibility to print money out of thin air. I guess they believe that the Central Bank of Canada is going to bail them out, or of course the Fed is going to bail them out now. Well, they're back to the same crap again, what they loaded onto the markets, and now they're at it again. When are we going to stop listening to these morons and start standing up for ourselves? Because these guys, they would continue to put out this horse manure into the markets until we drown in it.
Well, the whole damn system is based off of debt. And John, as we talk about often, the fundamentals are off the table, so we can't put a date on the crash, but we know it's going to happen, and that's inevitable. All fiat currency eventually reverts to its intrinsic value of zero, and when you manipulate the markets into a giant bubble, it's eventually going to burst, it's eventually going to come down, and we see things that are reminiscent of 2008 again and again and again. And John, this is going to be much worse than 2008, won't it?
Well, 2008 is going to look like a walk in the park, unfortunately. Sometimes I just laugh about it because it is really scary when you think about it. Because this time we printed a quadruple amount of money that we had last time. And of course, the bubble is so much more massive. There's a bubble in the stock market. There's a bubble in all kinds of loans, student loans, car loans, regular private loans, business loans, and everything started to collapse under us. Meanwhile, central bankers like Janet Yellen and Paul Otts and others, Olsen in Norway, they sit there and say, like, oh, everything is fine. Don't worry about it. We got everything under control.
Yeah, things are going better than ever.
Well, that's what they said right before the 2008 crash. We got to listen. They would never tell us the truth, these bastards, because if they did, there would be a complete panic. And they just want to stay away from it. So the panic will happen at a point when they could say, like, oh, we had nothing to do with it. And of course, they had all to do with it.
There's a recent story in the news about a journalist, I forget which country it was in, but they were asking Polotz about, he said to him, "You look real calm for someone who's printing trillions of dollars out of thin air." And isn't that so true? I mean, it all comes down to that debt pyramid, and it has to come down eventually. And that's the problem. And John, I think a lot of people are wondering, as always, solutions. We talk about the problem, we have a reaction, but instead of being Hegelian and giving a solution that just creates more problems, let's give them a solution that ends this insane central planning and manipulation, these artificial markets and artificial monetary systems throughout the world working together in collaboration with these globalist monetary system cartels, and give people a solution that will actually be able to help them insure themselves and insure their family in the inevitable crash.
Well, we need more deficit spending, we need more bailouts and bail-ins, and we need to recapitalize the banks to make them more safer for the world. No, that's a whole... That's what they would say.
He's gone crazy.
That's what these morons would say. Now, the real solutions are real things. Any commodities that actually have something of value, because that paper only has the value that it shows on that the actual paper has. Now, let me give you an example of the $100 bill in the United States. It has a true value, like when you print it and make it onto the paper before you put the fake 100 number on there and tell people that's the value. It's about 79 cents. 79 cents for a $100 bill. That's the true value that it takes to produce that bill and then sell it.
It's a promissory note that never promises you anything in the long run, and it doesn't, you can't return it for sound physical money. And that's where it comes down to, because that fiat is not money, it's currency. Money must have a store of value, and a store of value, a commodity, something that has value, is what you as individuals need in order to protect yourself.
Well, what you have is all these promissory notes, and it's going to continue to lose its value, as we had what I just said, just for fun, the deficit spending, the continuous bailouts. We're going to keep on devaluing that currency until people just say, I'm out, game over. I'm not going to take that worthless piece of paper anymore. I want something of value. And that's usually when the currency collapses. It's not just something that happens over a couple of years. It usually just happens from anywhere from about 2 months to about a year. That's usually when that massive just crash happens, when people just finally realizes this is worthless money. I've been duped into this legal tender system, and the government ripped me off.
So decentralize, folks. Get off that grid. Think about individual liberty and voluntary interactions between free individuals, the free market, outside of this realm of insanity, of central planning us all into oblivion, where we are shoved down a hole of debt and forced to ask the government and the banking system for a ladder up. That's servitude and that's enslavement. What we need to do is not just food, water, shelter, self-responsibility, defense, but we need sound money. So we're talking about decentralized. So yes, right now gold and silver is massively manipulated by the big banks, Deutsche Bank, Scotiabank, HSBC, BNP Paribas, the ESF Exchange Stabilization Fund in the States.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. And
the list is long.
Yeah, the list is long. It's being manipulated from all ends. But those guys, once they all collapse, which they will when the dollar collapses, which it will, then those chains are cut and gold and silver will prevail. Same with things like blockchain. And I'm talking about off the centralized grid, decentralized like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Steam. I mean, these are incredible new innovations that do help, which we don't have the test of time really to predict exactly how the stability will work over long periods. But we do know that when the dollar crashes, that is going to be worth something. That is going to be something that you can use to trade for food, for water, etc. Because of course you can't eat gold, you can't eat these currencies, but you can't just go out, most of us can't anyway, because we're not self-sufficient enough because of the public school systems that we have today. We can't just go out and start hunting all day, every day, and growing crops and harvesting every day so that we can eat. That's just not possible.
Well, good luck in a city.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what the whole Agenda 2030 thing is, that push people into big cities, carbon taxes, etc., and regulations. And the point that I'm trying to get to is that in the long run, you're not going to be wanting to go and steal from other people or kill to get the food for your family. You're going to want to be able to purchase it, and that's what both the defense and the sound money provides. So I think it's really important for us to look at things from a voluntary angle instead of these collectives that we're pushed into by these cartels. that these destructors, these destabilizers, these control freaks that get off on the destruction of life and limb, the debt enslavement of the populace. We need to get out of that system, and you are the change you wish to see to get out of that system. So we hope you listen to us. We hope you take heed of this warning. You heed this warning and do something about it, because if you don't, you can't just wait till the last second when we're all in chains to finally say, man, I wish I would have done something. I wish I wasn't so apathetic. That will be too late, and you need to do something now in order to insure yourself. So thank you, John, for going into this with us. We will continue to see this happen at a vast scale, and we really hope that people aren't pulled under with it. We hope that people learn enough from what we talk about, from our personal opinions, to be able to insure themselves and their families and protect themselves. This is so important. We're getting down to the breaking point. We're getting down to the point where we've been talking about this for decades. People like us have been talking about this for decades, and it is inevitable, and it is coming all down to the point where we need to start actually thinking about this very, very seriously, because we don't have time to start and just sit around being apathetic, waiting for it to happen before we actually do something. We have to do it now. So thanks again, John, and we'll get back at you with much more. Check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon. We can't do it without you. Any donation is very much appreciated, especially as we are so incredibly, vastly demonetized and censored by YouTube. Also, check our address for Bitcoin in the description and the comments, as well as on the screen for you to scan if you please. Also, check our link to the Red Pill Expo, which takes place June 23rd to 24th in Bozeman, Montana, where you can see people like G. Edward Griffin, Lord Monckton, Robert Kiyosaki, James Corbett, Cynthia McKinney, Richard Gage, Ty Bollinger, Mike Adams, so many other incredible people. We hope to see you there. But until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson and John Sneisen signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.